Hello, boys and girls. I'm so excited to read with you all today. Today, we're going to be reading a new book, and our book for today is titled Last Stop on Market Street. And this book is written by Matt De La Pena, and it is illustrated by Christian Robinson. This book is a fiction book, which just means it's a story that the author has made up with fictional characters. And so none of this really happened, but the author wrote it to try to teach us something. And we're going to talk about that later and during our story. So, the purpose for our reading today is to just pay attention to the theme or the lesson that the author is trying to teach us. So, let's just look at the cover of this book and what are some of the things that we see. Just take a few seconds and look at the cover and what are some of the things on this cover of this book that we see that might be able to tell us what the book is about. Just think for a few seconds and look around. Okay, so I'm seeing a bus, and then I'm seeing maybe a grandma and her grandson, or maybe they're not, but we'll just have to find out when we read. But I'm also thinking that they're at a bus stop because of this sign. And then I'm thinking maybe they might end up at Market Street since it says last stop on Market Street. What do you all think? Do you think that's a good assumption to make? Well, let's find out and begin reading. Last stop on Market Street. This is the dedication part of the book, and it says, For Luna and her two grandmas, Roni and Grace. CJ pushed through the church doors, skipped down the steps. The outside air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. He ducked under his Nana's umbrella, saying, How come we gotta wait for the bus in all this wet? Trees get thirsty too, his Nana told him. Don't you see that big one drinking water through a straw? CJ looked for a long time, but never saw a straw. From the bus stop, he watched water pool on flower petals, watched rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Kobe climbed in, gave CJ a wave, and drove off with his dad. Nana, how come we don't got a car? Wonder what Nana's gonna say. Boy, what do we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire, and old Mr. Dennis, he always has a trick for you. The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. It sighed and sagged, and the doors swung open. Let's just pause for a second here and I want to talk about, do you think that CJ likes waiting for the bus or riding the bus? I don't think he does either. He doesn't sound very happy that he has to ride it, does he? Okay, let's keep reading. What's that I see? Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ear, placed it in his palm. Nana laughed her deep laugh and pushed CJ along. They sat right up front. The man across the way was tuning a guitar. An old woman with curlers had butterflies in a jar. Nana gave everyone a great big smile and a good afternoon. She made sure CJ did the same. The bus lurched forward and stopped. Lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. How come we always gotta go here after church? CJ said. Miguel and Kobe never have to go nowhere. I feel sorry for those boys, she told him. They'll never get a chance to meet Bobo or the sunglass man. And I hear Trixie got herself a brand new hat. CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zip by on either side, watched a group of boys hop curbs on bikes. A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave up his seat. How come that man can't see? Boy, what do you know about seeing? Nana told him. Some people watch the world with their ears. That's a fact. Their noses, too, the man said. sniffing at the air. That's a mighty fine perfume you're wearing today, ma'am. Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed her deep laugh. I'm going to pause right here and talk about what we think about this man and why do we think he has a dog with him? The dog looks like he has a vest on, and the man's wearing sunglasses and he has this stick with him. Why do we think he has these things? What do people who have these things usually um, what do we what can we think about them? I'm thinking that he might not be able to see. He could be blind, right? Because usually people with a seeing eye dog or a stick to help guide them through town or to make sure they don't run into anything or hurt themselves. Well, let's keep reading and we'll find out a little bit more about that. Two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved on by and stood in back. Sure wish I had one of those, he said. Nana set down her knitting. I wonder what Nana's going to say about this one. What for? You got the real live thing sitting across from you. Why don't you ask the man if he'll play us a song? CJ didn't have to. The guitar player was already plucking strings and beginning to sing. To feel the magic of music, the blind man whispered, I like to close my eyes. Nana closed hers too. So did CJ and the spotted dog. And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus, out of the busy city. He saw sunset colors swirling over crashing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky, saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full, and he was lost in the sound, and the sound gave him the feeling of magic. The song ended, and CJ opened his eyes. Everyone on the bus clapped. Even the boys in back. Nana glanced at the coin in CJ's palm. CJ dropped it in the man's hat. Last stop on Market Street, Mr. Dennis called. So it looks like we're finally going to get to see what's on Market Street. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus. Crumbling sidewalks and broken down doors, graffiti tagged windows and boarded up stores. He reached for his Nana's hand. How come it's always so dirty over here? She smiled and pointed to the sky. Sometimes when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness for what's beautiful. CJ saw the perfect rainbow arcing over their soup kitchen. He wondered how his Nana always found beautiful where he never even thought to look. He looked all around them again, at the bus rounding the corner out of sight, and the broken street lamps still lit up bright, and the stray cat shadows moving across the wall. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, I'm glad we came. I want to pause here real quick, and some of us might not know what a soup kitchen is, so I kind of just want to make that clear. So a soup kitchen is just a place where people can go and eat a free meal when they might not be able to feed themselves or just need a little extra help at times. So CJ and Nana go here to help serve the food to people who need it. That's pretty nice of them, isn't it? Okay, let's keep reading to figure out what happens next. He thought his Nana might laugh her deep laugh, but she didn't. She patted him on the head and told him, Me too, CJ. Now come on. And that's the end. It's the end of our book. So let's just kind of talk about the book for a little bit here. First of all, I really hope you all enjoyed the book. It's one of my favorite books to read with students because I just love the theme of this book. So a theme of a book is kind of like a lesson that's learned through reading. And in this book, Nana kept doing something to try to teach CJ about the things around him. You remember every time he would complain about something, Nana would always have something good to say about that? Think back to while we were reading and think about a part of the book when this happened, and just write it down um, once you figure it out so we can talk about it in our next class. So while y'all are thinking about that, I'm going to talk about one that I thought about was CJ was, um, whenever CJ was complaining about not having a phone, and he was complaining about like the not being able to have music of his own with the earbuds. And Nana was telling him he didn't need that music because he had real live music right there in front of him on the bus. Remember the guy playing the guitar? And CJ closes his eyes and he's thinking of all these things. So he didn't really need the earbuds because he had music on the bus. So, some of these examples that we're all thinking about are all examples of the theme of this story. And the theme or the lesson that we learn in this book is that you can find beauty in pretty much anything. And Nana keeps trying to show CJ that there is beauty in everything around him if he just looks around and just takes it all in. So, what was it that Nana told CJ to look up at in the sky at the end of the book? Do you all remember that? Take a few seconds, think about it. You might have to go back in the book and figure out what that was. It was a rainbow, right? So even when CJ was saying how dirty it was on Market Street, his Nana found the beauty in it by pointing out that rainbow. All right, so the last thing that I want to ask you all to do is that the next time you're either walking down the street or riding on a bus or in the car, I just want you to look around and I want you to think of something that is beautiful to you that you might not have ever noticed before. I just want you to be thinking about this and then be ready to share with your classmates and me in our next class. So bring it to class next time with you and we'll all talk about our different things that we found that were beautiful that we might not have seen before. So that's all that I have for you today in the book. And I really hope you all enjoyed the book. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.